Spirit also reminding me that people value, that exchange.
Hmm.
Whatever they're paying, the value is more. So if you're at a supermarket, you can either, I always say, get the best brand that you can afford, but look for value rather than price tag.
Absolutely. I would like to welcome Ada to the show. Hi, Ada. How are you?
Good morning, Lisa. Grand Rising. I am doing wonderful. Thank you. And thank you again for inviting me to join you.
Oh, absolutely. I am excited to get started with our conversation today. I'm excited to learn more about what you do. But before we dive into the questions, tell me about your life before business. Have you always been intuitive, or did you have a surprise awakening at one point in your life?
Yeah. Thank you. So for me, I was born with these gifts, and it's something that I remember even from a very early age. And I would always be able to have this capacity to see. And, it can be quite scary to a young child when you're seeing things that are actually not in the physical realm. So I'd reach out and go, Mum, there's like a car accident in front of me. And she'd be like, there's nothing happening, darling. Or you walk into a room and you'd see beings, or you'd see passed over people, and it's terrifying. And being raised in a very strict religious household, they also considered it, demonic, so to speak, evil, so to speak. It was like negative.
Mhm.
So I was learned very quickly to shut these gifts down, and, not having any guidance and being considered that, those things are not, for the light,
Mhm.
and or they don't serve God, so to speak, then I learned to shut them down. But from a very early age, I had this sense of feeling, I had this sense of knowing. And oddly enough, even though my parents were quite afraid of this, both of those lineages had healers and seers in their lineage.
Mhm.
So my mother's grandmother was a curadera in Spain. So in Madrid, she was considered a white witch, and people would come to her for healings, and they would have profound healings. But my mother didn't believe that she had these gifts. And then she was afraid that they would be passed on, so to speak, to me.
Sure.
And the same with my father's lineage. He had, witches in his lineage, but they were all stoned, or they were burned to the cross, or they all had atrocities to them. So they were both afraid that this would be my demise.
Mhm.
So then shutting it down. And it wasn't till after a failed divorce, after, feeling broken, having had, my life just being ripped out from under me, that I had this little voice come back into my head. And it was like, if it is to be, it's up to me.
Yeah.
And then I could just start to hear them. That's when you hit rock bottom, right? Like,
Yeah.
and I heard these beautiful, like that beautiful angel, that warmth going, you're not alone.
Mhm.
And it was like, okay, that's right. I remembered all these gifts from so long ago. So
Mhm.
then I started awakening again. I started remembering again. And then I started just diving into everything that I could regarding angel realms, regarding spirituality, regarding these gifts. Can other people see? Can other people feel? Do other people have a sense of knowing?
Mhm.
And then discovering that that was what they labeled an empath. If you could feel other people's energies, or if you could walk into a room and sense the energy of the room.
Right.
So I did all the research I can, and not having had any guides or mentors that I could talk to,
Mhm.
I went up. I connected to God's source, spirit, the universe, the cosmos, and connected to my ancestral lineage, and connected to my angel team and spirit team. And then it just flooded in, and like the doors opened.
Yeah.
And, there again, it was like, it's like a spiritual awakening all over again,
Yeah.
being reminded who I am and what my capacity to be able to see, feel, hear, and know was.
Mhm.
And then the journey began again to remember. So that was a
That's
big.
powerful. That's absolutely powerful. And I find that a lot of us did shut down when we were born intuitive and we had the invisible friends and we could see things and hear things. And of course, mom and dad or the church are like, hey, you know what? That's not godlike, right? And I'm like, well, I'm not so sure that I'm liking your energy intention behind those words because I could read energy intentions as a kid, right? So, kind of going along a very similar path as you, it is about remembering and it's about remaining resolute in what it is you know rather than looking outside yourself for those answers, right? And you did you did all of that for yourself without any guidance. So I applaud you for that. I applaud you for that. So kudos to you for that. Yeah.
And it can be quite a scary journey when we first have our spiritual awakening or remembering, because we are going against often the caregivers, your primary caregivers are going against a system, going against the church, going against primary bodies that were known to be safe and true. And that is the purpose of religion, right? Is to keep a community safe and controlled. But that's another conversation, right?
Right.
But then out of any community, you conform to feel safe and supported, nurtured and protected.
Right.
But when you stand out on your own, you do become almost like that black sheep of the family, because receiving these gifts, and they are so godlike. That remembering we are connected to angel realms and spirit realms. How can that be considered evil? But it's because they can't control it, or they can't manipulate it, or they want that for themselves. Because if people start listening to their own intuition, then
what's
that is
the
being
purpose of the church?
guided.
Yeah. No, totally. I'm right there with you, and I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I want more of us to have these kinds of conversations ongoing. I want them to be accessible to other people who are going through what you and I went through individually, making us and our experiences and anecdotes about how we were able to move through these, share these stories so that other people don't have to go through it alone as well. That's a fabulous platform to start, really kind of moving into how you started your business. So what inspired you to start your own business?
Beautiful. Well, I was already working in corporate. So tuning into your gifts, you start to become quite successful. You learn to have this Midas touch. And having received this and really tuning into my gifts and just being successful in business for others, having a job and doing this thing, people would continuously come to me for guidance, for support, for, you seem to know the way. How is it that you're doing all of this? And at some point you go, okay, there's a potentiality here. And spirit would continuously tap me on the shoulder and go, you need to be leading. You're a way shower. You need to be showing people the way. Because people were already coming to me, asking me to do the thing. So at some point, you've got to get yourself out of your own way and allow spirit to guide you. And taking that leap of faith and going, okay, I'm here to serve. It's what I'm here to do. It's what I truly believe I've always been here to do. So it was initially it was doing the half and 50-50, like working my regular job and then supporting people as a, part-time gig or as a side gig, so to speak, but loving what I do. And eventually it just became, I didn't have the capacity or the love or the passion for my regular job anymore. It was more about tuning into the spirituality. And it was such a big part of my life that it's all these people needing support. And I choose those words very carefully because we do need support. I didn't want people to be like yourself, fumbling around in the dark. There's got to be a way. If there's an easier way, if someone has done this, and we see this in other businesses, let me show you the roadmap. Why do you need to do this on your own? I can show you. There's maps now. We can download them on our phone and we get led, to our destination. Exactly the same with our spiritual awakening. And this is aim when we're running, so to speak, a spiritual business. We don't have to do this alone. And if someone's been able to successfully do this and then transport that into their own soulpreneur business, then why not? And it was that nudge from spirit and then the calling from the collective, requiring that guidance, requiring that support. And I had to show up. I couldn't dim my light anymore. I had to take that beautiful leap, and spirit has absolutely supported me abundantly during that process to say, see, we can. When you are leading your life purpose, when you are on your soul mission, you will absolutely be supported by the universe, especially when you are working with the laws and the potentiality of the universe.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely potent, because I think when a lot of people go out on their own, as let it be, to explore their spirituality, or to explore what it means to start their own business, in many cases, they get paralyzed because they think, oh my God, I have to do this all by myself. I'm alone in this. And like you, I was supported by spirit, but I didn't know it. You knew it. I didn't know it. When I went out on my own, it was a matter of saying, okay, so what kind of product do I want to develop? Right? What does that look like? And I remember when I first met my partner in the spring, I threw out to the universe, I want to create a series of illustrations that are classical, but they have a modern twist, and you can find them in a museum. They will be as classical as all the other wonderful artists that we know and appreciate. And I want it to be a subject matter that is near and dear to my heart. And it was funny because I threw out some of those ideas on what I wanted this embodiment of this illustration series to look like, but I had no idea how it was going to form. And that magic didn't happen until around Christmas time later on that year, when things just kind of showed up and all these synchronistic moments just cascaded. And I had to stop a movie to sketch my ideas that were coming down from the ether, right? I'm like, everybody, we just got to pause the movie. I've got some sketching to do. And that was the beginning of working with spirit and receiving all of these downloads from an artistic standpoint. I want to know. So you started this as a side hustle, right? You didn't jump in with both feet.
No, so, I absolutely started. It's a side hustle. Yeah. Side hustle, so to speak. But yeah.
Yeah. How much time did it take you to move from a side hustle then to your own full business?
Yeah, beautiful. And that's a very powerful transition. So it wasn't until I moved to Sydney, and that's Sydney, Australia. And I really started into my corporate gig there, because whilst I was working in Western Australia, born and raised, I was still in that small town and still surrounded by my peers. And I couldn't quite expand and broaden and like really stretch out my wings there. So I did the sideways leap, went to Sydney, Australia. And then in corporate, I'm like, okay, well, here I am in my job and I'm working 16-hour days. And there seems to be no means to an end. I love what I do. I'm supporting people. But so then I just started to study so that I could get out of work, so that I could leave the office at a reasonable hour. And then I started studying. So then I started studying, because I also did my master's in business administration, because I thought, here I'm working in admin and doing it successfully well. Right. So I started learning that. And a lot of that information was like, I already know this. It was so easy for me to be able to do a degree. So I'm like, all right, well, what else is out there? What lights me up? And I just started tuning into that. And then as you did, like spirit just goes, well, try this. So then I started learning massage, so I could leave the office at a reasonable hour, do massage. And then, then it was like starting to learn all these other alternative healing modalities and like naturopathy. And I'm like, I started learning alternative medicine. And then that, of course, spirit always guides you exactly where you need to go. And it's just for us to say yes and to listen. And you took that download and went, yes, I need to do this right now. Because often we get these nudges or we get these moments and we're like, oh, no, I don't have this. No, I don't have the time, or why me? And then our ego gets in the way. But spirit nudged me. So I spent a good 10 years like deep diving, researching, learning all things, remembering, learning all things esoteric medicine, really tuning into my witch, really tuning into my high priestess energy and revolving around the esoteric energies. So then that, I think it was about 10 years in corporate Australia. Then I started doing people were tuning and people were coming to me. I'm like, okay, well, now there's got to be an energy exchange. So I started charging people off the side. And then it came to moving north, moved up onto the Gold Coast. And I was like, okay, this is the time for me to, again, no job. Okay, I've left my corporate life. Now's the time for me to really step into this power and really step into spirituality. So getting a part-time gig, doing again what I loved, which was in a different realm, but corporate still, but more creative. And then still building up my spiritual business in a new sphere. So that lasted another couple of years before I really stepped into my power, really learning and navigating. And then, at the same time, I was going through a divorce. So energy goes where it needs to go and focus, right? And then having to rebuild my life. Because after that, again, there was that beautiful cliff edge, dark night of the soul, where starting from rock bottom again, I'm like, now that I'm at rock bottom, I get to powerfully so recreate my life on my terms.
Yeah.
with spirit. And then that was a beautiful and gigantic leap of faith. And spirit goes, we will absolutely support you. I had that vision very, very clearly. Where I was meditating in the field one day with my puppy next to me, and there was this powerful vision of take a giant leap and we will absolutely support you. I'm like, okay, well, what have I got to lose? I've already, like, you can't get any lower than rock bottom, homeless, broken, like there's nothing left. So I've got nothing to lose. It's as long as I've got my dog and I am good. So taking that gigantic leap in that moment, and absolutely spirit has never once let me down, only when I have disconnected from it or not listened.
Right.
And even then they're just so beautiful and gentle and navigating you back towards it. So it was probably about a good 10 years of me deep diving and researching. And it wasn't until I came to the Gold Coast or Queensland in Australia that I then took that gigantic leap and went, okay, let's do this.
That's fantastic. That is absolutely powerful. I'm in awe. How did you decide on your business name then?
So Soulfinity was my business, and it's the infinite potential of your soul. And it just dropped in. Like, what is it that I do? And I feel that we ask ourselves this, what's my purpose? Why am I here?
Right.
Well, in all honesty, you're here to simply be and to remember who you are. That's your purpose.
Yeah.
And your soul mission is a whole other trajectory.
Right.
You know, because there's fate and there's destiny. So Soulfinity became. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful. Ada, tell me, how does your practice inform your business or vice versa?
Well, I absolutely allow it to guide me in anything that I am creating. So in any one moment. And again, it's like, am I going to be, is this something for me to release? Is this a program that needs to be created? Is this product, so to speak, or service that the community is requiring? Because the law of polarity also tells us if we're having this moment, if we're having this desire, if we're having this need, then there is a need for it also in the ether. So it's not a random thought or random ideas. There's a requirement for it somewhere. So that's how it informs me. That's how I take that inspired action, and then the creation comes. Because when I first started getting downloads about one of my soul ascension mastery programs, it was driving to meet a girlfriend for a cup of tea, and spirit's like, this is the outline for this program. I'm like, what now? Like, really? So, activate voice memo on my phone and blah, 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 blah. Here it is. And then park it and then come back to it another time. So I'm always allowing spirit to guide me in any moment. And yes, sometimes we still require a little bit of support in the physical realm, right? I'm also getting mentors alongside going, show me the way. And, this is what I'm feeling like I need to do. Is this the right thing for me to delivering it? And I always get those visions often in my dreams or in my meditation, or even on walks in nature. And I go for beautiful hikes in nature, getting a very clear vision of how it looks and needs to be produced. And then I've got to do the real world activity to create it.
Right.
So that's how it channels through, so to speak, for me.
Yeah.
Receiving those messages and clarity. And then, what is it? The real world manifestations or effort that I need to produce in order to create.
No, that's another great point that you bring up. So how does that then tie into the broader aspect of measuring success in your spiritual business? Is it purely financial, or do you prioritize client transformation?
Yeah. Beautiful. I have very powerful boundaries. And for that, this is something that no matter what my desire is for a client or in that communication with students, it's like, okay, then I still have beautiful boundaries because it's teaching them and it powers them the same. So for me, it's setting that container up that they're in and obviously communicating that and having agreements in place is so, so powerful. But the effort there is time, money, energy. Effort is a requirement for source, spirit, universe, God, and our own interpretation and expression. Guiding others through that. It's like, what is it? What's your intention for this and what's mine? And then meeting them in the middle. Right? So that we can both grow from this. Because a lot of people believe that you can't have a spiritual business and be abundant. And abundance can mean something to everybody. Success can be something to everybody.
Right.
So when I work with, people initially, it's like, what's your definition of success?
Mm-hmm.
Because for some people, it will be money in the bank. It will feel some form of protection. Mm-hmm. And then uncovering the why. Mm-hmm. For me personally, money is beautiful, love it, but I desire freedom and flexibility greater. But money also enables that. Mm-hmm. So whenever you enmesh your values, then they become there's this great resonance and frequency transmission for the universe that you're supported with. Mm-hmm. Is the more money I make, there's a representation of how many people I was able to support and help to a certain degree on a higher level.
Yeah.
Right? And then that enables them to have more time and more freedom. Mm-hmm. And my ability to do that is reflected upon that. Right. Because your transformation is just as much as powerful as my own. Mm-hmm. So I value transformation. I value spirituality. I value money to a certain degree, but it is not my primary driver.
Right.
My primary driver for me is spirituality. Mm-hmm. And my definition of success is freedom and flexibility. I want to be able to help anyone across the world. And I want to be able to do that from anywhere in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
And that's really defined my definition of a success.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What are some of the unique challenges you face running a business on spirituality?
Oh, maybe at the beginning there would have been some challenges, because right now I'm in that divine flow. And for me, it's like always uncovering where your threshold is at. And to start with, and you'll resonate this, and I hear this a lot with the beautiful students that I coach and just from our community at large. Mm-hmm. It's like, these are your gifts. Why aren't you just giving it away? Mm-hmm. Right? We had this conversation before. It's like, why do you think you can charge people for your gifts? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, you're an incredible artist. Mm-hmm. You create artwork. Mm-hmm. If someone wants to own that, don't you think there should be an energy exchange, or doesn't that require an energy exchange? Mm-hmm. I've devoted time, money, energy, and effort into honing my gifts, into creating my time, money, energy, like to create, to deliver. I'm spending time with you. Mm-hmm. Do you not feel that there's a reciprocity for this? Mm-hmm. I'm giving you what you're requiring of me. Do you not feel there should be, or will there not be, a form of exchange? Mm-hmm. But it's often because people don't value something or don't see the perceived value on something. Mm-hmm. So one of the greatest challenges initially was coming up against that. Now I don't have that, because I cleared that very, very early on in my business. Mm-hmm. And, I have a great investment exchange with my students now, and it's not questioned. Mm-hmm. I often get approached, I'd like to join this. What is this? This is the investment in it. And they're like, there's no arguments anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't invite that into my realm. But when I'm uncertain, as we've been taught this, or we have a belief system surrounding money or our capacity to earn. So that's one of the first ones that I really come up against with, like for myself, and very initially, you can only earn money from working for somebody else or for a corporation or for an entity, or rather than multiple revenue streams, and the universe just provides. Mm-hmm. There's a belief system of where's your threshold at in receiving money, in being fully supported by the universe, in being provided for, protected, nurtured, loved. And that also filters out into other pillars into your life. So one of the greater challenges at the very beginning was, can I charge for my services, and then how much? And I always found when I would give friends a free reading or guidance or support in something, they would then often go and pay for that service to someone else, and then come back to me and go, you know what, you were spot on. They said exactly the same thing. And I'm like, thank you for showing me my worth. Mm-hmm. So I was super grateful for that realization. And it only happened a few more times before I went, all right, I'm not giving this stuff away for free anymore. Because people don't value free. No, there's an intrinsic exchange. Then they value to the value of also what they're able to exchange, what they're able to invest in themselves, because their own value, or what their perception of what something is worth, is also their own value, and what they view, how they view themselves.
Absolutely. Starting a business is a unique journey, and it's different for each of us. But one thing is universal: we can't do it alone. Getting help is essential. If you're transitioning from the work world to the woo world, eager to share your magical gifts, or you've been in business for a while, but you still face challenges, I've got your back. With personalized consulting, a supportive community, and transformative productivity tools, I'm here to help you find the best path for you and your business. Click the link in the description to learn how we can co-create your magic together. Yeah.
So then that reflection comes through. So that was one of the greatest things I find through my students. And when I initially started, at this moment, it's like, what's my greatest challenge? It's like, oh, I don't know, I'm feeling full flow right now. It's like, how do I share my message with more people? Right. And I sent that out to the universe, only a couple of weeks ago. And then since, I've been invited onto 2 different podcasts, and I did one last week and one with you this week. And it's like, all right, thank you, Spirit, for all I need to do is send it out and then allow for the way to show itself.
Right.
And then my beautiful students always come up with another challenge. It's like, I'm facing this challenge. It's like, okay, perfect. Where in my life have I seen that challenge before? Because I believe everything's a reflection.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, cool. Then this is how I've navigated through this. And this is how Spirit's also guiding you. So allowing the way to present itself can sometimes, ego can still sometimes, or human can sometimes still get in like, do I need to be doing anything right now? Do I need to be doing, because I see a lot of other people doing? It's like, actually, no.
Yeah.
No.
But let's get on to a little more challenging subject, money matters. We know that money is only energy, and making money is one of the most difficult subjects for creatives and spiritual practitioners alike. And the power we give it is in the story we tell. So let's talk about your story with money. How do you reconcile your spiritual practice with running a business?
So I was born and raised in a very low socioeconomic area. I was born in a mining town in Western Australia, and we didn't have any money growing up. Like, everything that was earned was, to put food on the table, roof over our heads. So that was my belief system, that you had to work hard to earn money, and you had to do all of the things, and you had to work for somebody else. And that was the only revenue stream. And that was a belief system that you go to school, you go get to college, you go get a job, and then you just repeat that cycle. I was raised through that. And then, of course, coming over to corporate Sydney, I just felt just didn't feel the congruency of that. Yeah. Because I'd look around and like, well, why do all these other people have incredible abundance or lots of money? Let's speak to what is. And then some people are poor. So I would look at that and I'd be like, and then I have this understanding that the sun shines on us all equally. Spirits are on here all equally. And then I would start to learn about soul contracts and how we are here for, which is what you spoke to, for these life experiences. And I'm like, I'm understanding that. So if money is just energy, which we hear a lot, but what does that actually mean?
Right.
How does that portray into these money stories that I was raised with? And then learning other people's money stories, or people who perceivedly had lots of it. What were their beliefs around money? What was their money stories? Some were created, some were raised. They were born into money. Wonderful. Others had to build it again from the ground up. And I'm like, well, if other people were able to, from nothing, create something, then surely so could I.
Right.
And Spirit would continue to nudge you, going, I kept having these visions of having it all, so to speak, or having lots of money, having a beautiful home, having a loving partner. So I knew it was possible. There's the law of potentiality. Tells me so. So then it was rewiring the belief systems, uncovering money money isn't funny, because in America you've got paper money, right? But money isn't grown on trees. Well, actually it is, because it's paper money, but not in Australia. Ours is more plastic, right? So, money's the root of all evil. I don't want to be evil, right? I'm a good person, but if I have money, does that mean I'm going to be bad?
Right.
And then I'm like, well, actually, why can't I show people the way? Can I not show them that when I have lots of money, that I can do good with it? Because there's a lot of philanthropists in the world, so that shows me. And then you hear about Mother Teresa, one of the most powerful manifestors on the planet, who raised millions of dollars, but just gave every cent away. So she had a great cause for being able to manifest money. And I'm like, oh, okay, so there's got to be a way. And the foundation of that was, yes, rewiring the belief systems is one, but it starts here. And then the shift in the energy, the shift in the energy field, the
Right.
shift in the DNA frequency. It's rewiring your money blueprint, so to speak.
Right.
And that is absolutely possible. And sometimes it is doing a quantum leap or a past life regression, going, where is this belief system coming from? Yep. In a past life, if you believe in that, potentially I was raised a pauper, or had to work hard for my money, or was enslaved, and yes, there are others where I was incredibly abundant, where I was royalty, had lots of money. And it's shifting the money stories in this realm.
Right.
It's like, well, if it is to be, it's up to me again. So how can I shift my money story to one that is empowering? And I become a conscious millionaire. And what does that look like? What does that feel? And how would I circulate that back into my community, back into humanity?
Right.
Because the law of circulation, well, everyone talks about karma. The law of karma is just cause and effect. So if I'm understanding that, then the actions I'm taking is I will reap what I sow. So I'm going to very consciously start to reap really good, start to empower the way I speak. Because if we're spell casting with every word that we speak, because we're spelling constantly, then I need to ensure that what I'm projecting out into the earth, out into the frequency, out into the field, the void, the universe, I need to ensure that it's the highest caliber, highest vibration. And yes, sometimes we slip, we come back in, and our reality, often it's like, well, we're trying to create, manifest, attract more money from our very scarce means. Like, I need more money to pay my rent. I need more money to put food in my car, like to put petrol in my car, to put food on my table, to feed my children. And we try and attract money from that scarcity field. Like you said, when you were at work and you're in this heightened state and nothing seems to work. Like, I don't wear a watch because my energy just always falters them.
Mine too. Yep.
So now I've made love to my laptop and my devices so that I can work harmoniously with electronics. So that works with electronics. Surely the same thing can be. And if you look at your environment, you're the creator of everything you have already.
Absolutely.
And if you look to what you've earned today, you're already a millionaire multiple times. And you're like, okay, if this is absolutely possible, then I need to not only rewire my beliefs, I need to rewire and transmute my DNA. And then so that I filter out those outdated belief systems that are deep in my subconscious, that my field is emanating a source of abundance. And whatever, again, success or abundance or money looks like for you, to shift the money story, to shift the money blueprint. Because attracting money is the same as attracting a partner. It's the same as attracting a loved one, the harmonious relationships in your community, living your purpose. It's all the same. And I know for a very long time I tried to attract money, but I was resisting a relationship. I was resisting because I was come out of a sticky divorce and it was awful. I was like, no, but the universe is interlinked. And they can be intertwined. And yes, we can have it all. When we appreciate everything is just energy, money will show up for you with however you are attaching to the story. Just like the partner, just like your family, just like your community, just like the jobs, the advancements, and the stories that we have in around them. So deep diving into those, transmuting, transforming, rewiring is an integral part, whether that be money, whether that be relationships, whatever filter or area of your life. Is a fundamental piece into navigating more of what you desire. And it is your birthright.
It is.
We're children of the cosmos. If we're created from source energy, the Bible shows us and tells us that we are made in God's image. That what wouldn't God give unto himself? Itself, herself, everything. Why would God deny themselves anything? Then hence it must show me so. It will show me the way. I simply need to get myself out of the way and lead and follow.
No, exactly. And one of the most powerful phrases I learned back when I was very, very young was, how can I? How can I? How can I achieve X? How can I do that? How can I be that? And when I would always start my journey with how can I, things just opened up. And I find that the only thing that we create are limitations, right? The only thing that we create are limitations. Once we understand the limitations that we're putting before ourselves, it's like, oh, well, life is too easy. I should throw a hurdle up. Like, no, 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 stop, stop. What are you doing?
Yes. Stop
Right?
throwing in roadblocks.
Yeah, yeah. I'm like, no, it's okay. It's okay to accept. And a really quick story about shutting down abundance. There's one thing to say, yes, I'm open to receive, but you have to ask yourself, are you really? And I think you brought that up just briefly about, yeah, I want to bring in money, but I don't want to bring in a partner, right? And because everything is interconnected, last year, my husband and I took a trip to Las Vegas. And we're not Vegas people. We also like to go watch shows like Cirque du Soleil. We love those. Okay, how many shows can we watch? We walked into Hermès, the luxury heritage clothing shop, but they're a lifestyle shop. Everybody knows Hermès. We walked in just because we were curious. And suddenly I could feel my ancestors pushing me. I felt like this push in my back right towards the cologne and perfume section. And I'm like, why are we walking? What I guess I'm walking over here. And my husband's like, why don't we come over here? And I'm like, no, 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 going over here, going over here. Don't know what's going on, but yeah, just hold on. I went over, I knew exactly which scent to pick up, gave it a little bit of nose, and oh, I like this, right? And they had just put out a new line of floral scented cologne. And the one that I had picked up was Iris. And I know that in my past lives, irises have been very fundamental in my growth and spirituality. But I had no idea what I was picking up. It's just like, I felt like a robot. I'm like, okay, pick up, pull out. All right, we're doing this. And I'm like, oh my God, that's heavenly. It was the cleanest scent I'd ever sent. And I don't wear scents. Well, my partner said, well, would you like that as a birthday gift? And I said, it's nice. I don't need it. And he's like, would you like it as a birthday gift? I said, looked at the price tag. I'm like, it's nice. I really don't need it. And I just put a little squirt on as a sample. I'm like, I'm happy. I'm happy. I don't need it. And he's like, do you want this? I mean, he had to ask me 4 or 5 times. And suddenly I could feel spirit say yes, say yes, say yes. And what I recognized right then and there was that if I shut down his willingness to gift me something completely spontaneous as well as something completely luxurious, why would I shut that down? Because then I'd be shutting down abundance. And I'm like, yes, yes, 1,000 times yes, I will accept the gift. Thank you very much. So it suddenly, from that standpoint, it was, oh, spirit's testing me, right? And then it's just kind of, I opened up the doors. I'm like, okay, I am ready to receive. Make sure you don't shut anything down when you say yes.
And being open to all forms of abundance in multiple ways. What a gorgeous way of demonstrating something that you could receive so much pleasure from at the same time. And that message is resonating out into the universe, how you so lovingly received this gift, then we'll give you more. We have to. The universe absolutely has to give you whatever you're asking in that beautiful resonant energy.
Yeah.
What a beautiful, gorgeous lesson that to have received, and such a beautiful, playful way to have done it too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. One last question. How do you approach setting your rates?
I love this. Thank you. Because by no means do I look at the collective. By no means do I look at what other people are doing. It's often, it's where we start. And often it's okay to start there. It's like, okay, the average is this. For me, initially I undercut. I'd be servicing friends and family. So it'd be like, oh, just buy me a meal, or you buy lunch, or, coffee. And then it was like, okay, well, maybe just a nominal amount, because I was also at a job. And I'm like, well, if I'm seeing other people charging a lot more with a lot less skills, abilities, whatever they're presenting, they're offering in those services, they're charging a lot more. So it's like, okay. And then Spirit also reminding me that people value, that exchange.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever they're paying, the value is more. So if you're at a supermarket, you can either, I always say, get the best brand that you can afford, but look for value rather than price tag.
Absolutely.
Because if you buy something that's perceivably cheap from Target, or a t-shirt, for example, it's only going to last a certain amount of washes because it's made cheaply. Unfortunately, cotton's probably not the best. And then, okay, so that might suit somebody. And yes, if it's providing clothing on your back, then that's absolutely the best that you can do. Then please do that with so much love and gratitude. But if you're wanting a little bit more quality, same in this industry, if you're wanting quality, if you're wanting results, if you're wanting outcomes for your investment,
right,
then that too is going to require a greater exchange. So I always say I'm by no means the cheapest, but I will absolutely get you results because I expect them to.
Right.
I expect you to. And I know that because I have a proven system that has been tried and tried again. And often I get feedback from my students going, I would have paid 10 times that for what I got out of it. And I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
And the last time I rarely do one-on-ones these days. And I did a one-on-one for, again, my friend's son who just wanted a bit of clarity and guidance. I'm like, sure, my love. He's like, what's your rate? And I said, it's this. And he's dropped in 50% more. And I'm like, and he's like, because that was invaluable to me. And I'm like, okay. So initially we set our rates at something that's what we're seeing that might be okay. Your clients will show up. And there are clients who value free. That's where they're at right now, or they don't value themselves enough to invest. They're not your clients.
Right. No, absolutely.
Because, as you said, there's Hermes or the Hermes. Is that how you pronounce it? Hermes, like Hermes. Every culture has a different pronunciation. That store, you wouldn't walk into it unless you knew that you could purchase something from there because it's a high-end luxury store, right? But then at some value, you will go in knowing that whatever you choose to purchase from that store, it's got to be of value. You will see the perceived value in something. So when you are looking for a mentor, when you're looking for guidance, when you're looking for artwork, when you're looking for creatives, when you're purchasing something, or when you are on the market to invest in something, so to speak, you will always receive what you're ready to invest in. And it's always an investment in yourself. So when I set my rates, I often test the market, and I know that I'm a little bit less than some, and I'm okay with that because I'm here to support the collective, but I'm also here to work for people who are ready to do the work.
Right.
And that's a key thing. I'm not trying to drag along people that are kicking and screaming because not everyone can take it. Not everyone's going to be ready for this level of magic.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And that's how I set my rates.
And it can be intense too, that magic, right? That magic comes with all kinds of wonderful conjuring, and you might bring up something that's not something that an individual wants to face on their own, but in partnership with someone like you. And what I've always said and what I've recognized to be true throughout the years is that when people pay, they pay attention, right? Versus the people who come to you, receive free advice, and they'll go pay somebody else, which I've had that happen to me several times as well. They'll come back and go, you know what? You were spot on. And I'm like, thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you. And it's often the feedback from out, but then it's whatever you're like the reticular activation. So whatever you're also looking for, you'll get validation for. So I'm setting that intention. I'm here to serve people that are ready because that magic, as you said, can be all powerful and it can cause a death, so to speak.
Yeah.
It will be a transformational death. You do not want to do that on your own.
Oh, no.
And for you to go to that level, you've got to know the rebirth is going to be exquisite. And you'd be like, why didn't I do that before?
Right.
Why didn't I do that before?
Right.
So the value is exponential. And that's what I look towards. That knowing the value that my beautiful students receive from my services is often priceless. What am I going to get from it? And you always get what you pay for. Yeah. And you always get what you set the intention for. even in this industry.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. So, Ada, what do you see in store for you in the next few years?
Yeah, amazing. Thank you. Ah, so now I'm allowing spirit to just show me the way. Like I know what's next for me is already unfolding. And my partner and I went for a hike on the weekend and we went down to Noosa. It's beautiful headlands on the water and where parklands meets water. And I've said to him at the time, I feel so on purpose. I feel so on mission and I feel in so alignment at this moment in time that I'm so grateful. And then every time I tune into that energy, it just shows me another level. And I just keep following spirit. So what's next for me is being able to serve more people in a greater capacity. I love working one-on-ones with people. It's something that I want to continue to do to some degree for the perceivable future anyway. Right. I can't speak to long term. As long term, they've shown me the vision of one to many.
Yeah.
So being able to hold those beautiful, what do they call them? Like they're trying to share the word with me. Consortiums where there's multitudes of people, where there's a group that's empowering summits. Thank you, team. Those creating summits to empower people on masses. And I'm not doing this alone. Wanting to co-create with other great-minded people, that are other people that are ready to help shift humanity, and to be able to support these beautiful people whilst they're remembering their own power and truth and knowledge. So that's what I see coming in for me. And thankfully, I've got a divine counterpart, my partner, who is just as powerful as I am, who has very aligned visions for our future. And sometimes they kind of go off a little bit different trajectory. And it's like, cool, you've got to take this and then we'll meet in the middle. So we have a human experience as well as our soul missions are aligned as well, which is beautiful. We're here to empower humanity. And I see more of that growing. And whether that be as groups and continuing to do my one-on-ones and supporting people, like creating this community of like-minded beings, we can just honor our integrity, honor our authentic expression of self, and just awaken people to that truth and knowledge. And so that they feel safe, they feel held, they feel protected, and they feel supported. That to me is essential. And that they feel loved in a non-judgmental space, holding containers like that. That's my visions. And that's what I do now in a smaller capacity. And I just see it compounding and growing as we connect with more beautiful beings.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I can't wait to see you grow. So, Ada, can you offer a short piece of advice for aspiring spiritual entrepreneurs?
Take the leap. And I know it may feel scary at first, but dip your toe in and keep listening. Yeah. If you need to test the waters, like dip your toe in, but keep allowing yourself to be guided by spirit. Keep connecting. Keep connecting to your highest level self. Keep connecting to your spirit team, God, source, the universe, whomever you associate that belief with. Keep connecting and allow yourself, trust yourself to a certain level.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah. Listen to that inner tuition, your intuition, and allow it to guide you. Keep trusting, keep listening, and keep taking inspired action.
Yeah, perfect. So, Ada, I'm sorry?
Be brave, take risks.
Yes. Where can people find you?
Thank you. So, as my name is, I also have a website, aidajasmine.org, and you can find me there. I do a plethora of things. My mission, as I said, is here to support and empower people through their way and what they're here to do. So I have a few programs that people can, connect with me on. I have a book, The Handbook for Being Human, that they can often use as a resource. It's created as a guidebook to ask questions, to remember, again, your power and source. So yeah, please follow me on my website is the primary way. And then from there, you'll be able to filter out into my socials and follow me through other platforms as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Ada, it was such a pleasure talking with you today. I've learned so much and really embracing that infinity symbol of both the divine feminine and the divine masculine to help really bolster our life experience as well as building our own spiritual business. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today and having a lovely conversation.
Amazing. Well, thank you, beautiful Lisa, for creating this platform, for inviting me on it, and also to your beautiful listeners. May you continue to remember. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day.
And you. Thank you, my love. Beautiful.